For the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business is the minutes from May 13th. I read them and reviewed them and recommended approval.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. First one is small project NAC 150, 100 Campbell Road. I didn't do it.
We don't have the front monitor either, so it's not just projecting. TV's on, but we just don't have an image. I think we're getting like a blue screen. There it goes.
Looks like it's getting started. No?
Here, this is live feed.
While we're waiting for that, this is a sewer connection. You have the plan in front of you. Looks like this. The photo, this line on top.
This one here?
Yep. So it's a sewer connection and a crush and fill of the tanks. I was out there today to take a measurement from where they had dug up the tank. It's about 44 feet, so I estimate the sewer line is about 40 feet. They're coming in off the road. They'll be parallel. I believe Heidi recommends a silt sock along the length of the trench on the closest side. Let's just reconnect here, sorry.
70-foot length of run?
Oh, it's set back.
Here we go. So
Let's see what you're saying.
70 feet is
The length of the run is 70, is that what I'm saying?
yep.
All right.
I think because there's other components proposed, it isn't just the usual sewer connection lettering. She did it as an L for other projects. So would recommend that you accept it as an L and approve with erosion control and pre and post.
Any questions, Joe?
Not pretty straightforward.
Al?
The application checklist sheet, is this the new one or the old one?
It's a new
Should be
one.
the new one with the L
Yep.
being down at the bottom.
That's the indicator, okay, just wanted to be sure. Last time we had mixture.
Yeah, hopefully we got rid of all the old
Any
ones.
questions?
I'm good.
Okay, motion?
Move that we accept 100 Campbell Road, NACC number 150 as a Category L small project application.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And that's unanimous.
And I vote, I move that we, what were the conditions, did you say?
So
looks off along the length of the trench and pre and post construction.
And then was there some debris that needed to be removed?
They just had a small pile, so I spoke to them about it. It's not an issue, just like a pile of grass clippings.
Okay. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is NACC number 151, 976 Turnpike Street.
So this one, there's a new septic system, and this is only for abandonment of the tanks in the back of the property. And I have some photos. This, we have a full-blown plan from the Board of Health, which also shows the system that needs to be abandoned. Everything about the new system is outside the 100-foot buffer zone. There is, on this one, there's a big pile of debris, and somebody's dumped some bricks.
Where did that, I didn't even see that. Okay.
Yeah, it's out back. It looks kind of recent, at least.
No,
Concrete.
I haven't done anything yet.
No, oh, it's not you. I'm saying
Yeah.
maybe someone who was doing the renovation or whatever, because I know that I saw there was a bunch of concrete in the front yard, things kind of torn out.
Let me see that, because we haven't done anything yet.
Maybe someone taking advantage of no being there or something.
It might be, I don't know. We can get rid of that.
Okay. And then you had a request to remove some additional
Yeah.
trees.
We have trees that are hanging over the house that I just bought, and good storm is going to collapse those right on. I don't know if there are pictures in there. I know Heidi said. Yeah.
Just identify yourself for the
Sure.
record.
Peg Gravlin, owner of 976 Turnpike Street.
You'll even take the trees out or just selectively prune the branches?
Well, there's one specific tree that is, I don't know how it grew that way, but it is really leaning over. It looks very old.
Is that the one that's leaned like that?
Yeah.
I know-
And that's the
I know
one
how it
that's,
grew that way.
what's that?
It's younger than the ones around it, and it's just reaching for the sun. It's trying to get out from underneath the other canopy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that tree is looking to come down.
The
Yeah.
trees are shown on the plan. You can see them. Are they the three that are shown in the backyard?
Yes, they are.
Yep. So they're within the 100-foot buffer
So it's
zone.
all three of those, two 18s and a 24?
Yes, it is.
You know, and beneath those trees is mowed lawn, right?
Correct.
I have no problem with the trees. Awesome.
Even after the email I sent you?
Even
Especially after the
in spite of that email.
Questions, Joe?
I'm all set.
All set.
So this one would also be an L for the tree removal and the crush and fill of the tank. And just picking up the brush dump, no erosion control, and a post-construction inspection.
I move that we accept NACC number 151 for 976 Turnpike Street as a subsection L of the North Andover Small Project Bylaw
Second.
regulation.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous.
And I move that we enter the conditions Jen just referred to.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Well set. Thank you. Agenda, continues, right? The next one is RDA for 209 Westway.
waive the reading.
We can do that.
If there are no
Are there any abutters here for the Vestway application? No.
we can deem it as read.
Deem it as read.
Save valuable time.
Yes.
Okay, this has some after-the-fact elements. Let's get the plan up here. So Heidi and I went out to look at this for, I forget what reason we came out, maybe the wall, or was it the deck? Sir? What was it, what was the new part we came to see? The deck expansion, I think?
Well, we built the patio, and we needed the approval for that, and then we built the deck, which we have the approval for.
We went out to check the wetland line for the deck, and the patio was already there. They were unaware that for the patio, they would need a filing, and no building permit was required, so nothing was triggered. So they're seeking after-the-fact approval of the patio, which is already constructed, and wish to move forward with a deck expansion and installation of a small retaining wall for leveling the backyard and some driveway repair. All of it's outside the 50, and any of it alone probably could have qualified as a small project, but since there's an after-the-fact component, and that they are here in front of you as an RDA. Triple filing fees were paid. They did have the wetland redelineated, and we did inspect that and approve it.
So the work that's before us now, is it including some of the additional fill in the backyard, or is it just to permit the, it's some of the fill?
They want to level the backyard. When they did the patio is now not level with the backyard. It's sort of raised.
Yes, there's a slope, and the patio is, a little above the edge of the slope. So we need to elevate the part of the backyard by 16 inches, just for the safety reasons.
So when the additional fill goes in, the idea is to plant grass there?
There is a grass right now, and we will just regrass it probably. And we will actually move the fence closer to the house and, away from the wetlands by a foot or something.
This was constructed on top of a very steep retaining wall slope.
Mm-hmm.
So
And it's just a rubble wall, isn't it?
yeah. But it just dives right off the back. And so when they put in this wall, it'll be a little safer and flatter. They basically have no backyard. It just slopes right off and then goes down.
The reason why I was asking the questions of, grass and were they filling it was, the longer term containment of anything that, as long as it's stable, the erosion controls at the bottom of the wall aren't always a great idea, but that is what they're proposing, right?
Yeah, the erosion controls will be at the top, because their wall is going to be about a foot in, correct, from the existing.
Fence, which is probably a foot from the existing.
Yeah, they
edge
have
of the wall.
an existing fence at the top of that wall.
So there's no fill going in?
The fill is going to be away from the
After
fence.
the-
On the house side of it.
On the house side.
So right now, we've got a very steeply sloped rubble wall, a fence near the top of it.
Yep,
This side of the fence, they're going to put erosion controls.
yep,
Inside the erosion controls, they're going to put a wall, and then they're going to fill and level off the backyard behind that new wall they're adding.
correct.
So when everything is stabilized, those erosion controls will come out and the fence will be moved back.
The fence will be there. They're
They're just gonna leave the fence there.
They're just going to leave the fence, and the new retaining wall will be inside the fence.
Okay.
It's going to be replaced with a new fence.
So my concern for the stabilization question has been satisfied.
Existing chain link fence will be replaced with a new one.
This is replaced.
Oh, okay. I don't think that was part of it when I originally talked to your wife.
Okay, so we are thinking of building the wall in front of the wall, in front of the existing fence, right? And put the new fence on this wall, closer to the house.
No, I thought you were going to leave the fence where you had it.
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
You didn't, that was,
no.
you'd have a 1.5 foot drop off that new wall.
Yeah, no.
So you're going to put it on the new wall?
Yes,
Okay.
Okay,
Then
so,
then we get back about a foot, I guess.
right.
but the same question that we had in the last meeting is anchoring a fence into a new wall.
Right.
At such a shallow depth and such a shallow height, you got a stability problem. So it really needs to be in the soil, on either side of the wall, but it should be driven into the soil. I don't want the fence on top of the wall, because if it does topple, would typically be in, a rain event, and then if the blocks go, then you're going to have, soils and stuff moving over the area we're trying to protect.
Because it's only a 14-inch wall, then it's not gonna hold anything.
It's not going to hold it in, yeah. So, I mean, the whole principle of what they're proposing is fine, I completely understand it, but I think the fence ought not be in the new wall or on the new wall, it should be either in front of or behind.
I guess I'm just confused because it's saying they're replacing it in kind. That's what the note says. So you're not putting it back in the same place. You're going to move it to the top of the new wall.
Correct. It's almost in the same place, but it's like a
Okay.
foot.
And what Joe is,
It doesn't say in kind on the drawing.
well, they don't show it in a new location. They just show the X's.
They're just pointing to
It's
it.
the X.
Existing fence to be replaced with a new
It says
fence.
to be replaced with new fence, there's no call out beyond that.
Right, but it doesn't put it on top of the new wall, is what I was saying. Which is where they want to
It's
put it.
ambiguous how it's called out.
Right.
The arrow
I mean, we
points to
will
an
follow
area.
the recommendation because we can, adapt our plan here.
I mean, the point I raised, and I don't want to beat it up too much because it's a good recommendation, I believe, is if you put posts into a very shallow wall, snow and wind and whatnot, it's going to fall over sooner than you want it to. So by putting it either on the house side of the new wall in soil, it'll be stable. Or put it on the other side of the wall, downstream, in the soil, and it'll be stable, and everything will be fine. That's the only thing I'm trying to get.
That's fine. We will absolutely do that.
And because of that, we'll have a stable
We all
wall
need
and stable
safety,
soil.
right? We don't want to redo the project again.
So all he's saying is just don't put it on the wall
Yeah.
or in the wall.
Okay.
Yeah,
No, I'm satisfied.
Sean?
So if he puts it on the house side of the wall, how far off of the actual stones does it need to be? How much inside the wall?
As long as you're engaging it in the soil and getting it the normal depth, yeah, typical fence, it's only a 4-foot fence to begin with. Yeah, 18 inches max on a 4-foot fence.
Would you prefer it to be on the house side of the wall versus the other side of the wall? Is that your preference?
The fence?
Yeah.
I would prefer it to be on the other side of the wall.
The other side being the house side?
No, the wetland side.
The wetland side? Okay.
So the 4-foot fence behind a 1.5-foot wall only becomes a 2.5-foot high fence.
Well, you can elevate it probably.
Fence on a 4-foot fence, well, that's just...
Okay.
When you're talking your fencing guy, you want a 6-foot fence.
Okay.
I have no other questions.
So we're going with down gradient of the new retaining wall is where, between the wetland and the new wall is where the fence is going to go.
So you're saying that we need to put the fence before the retaining wall?
No,
Nope.
she's letting you do whatever you want.
Okay.
You know what, well, not whatever you want.
See, if I may, that's the problem. When you look at this, what will become a record drawing, it's really not telling you where the fence is going, and it's leaving a lot of artistic license up to
Well,
the
that's why
applicant.
I want to put it into the decision. So
So-
we're going to put it
so-
behind the new retaining wall, away from the house, is where
Correct.
the fence is going to go. I'll specify in the order, or
Okay.
in the conditions.
Can you remark the record drawing to reflect what you're going to specify in the order? So that in years after this, when somebody wants to see what
See
happens?
conditions such as, number such and such.
So it would be negative number 3 and 6
Negative 3 and 6.
with erosion control and pre and post,
And
and markup of the
Relocation.
record drawing. Yep.
yeah. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Well said, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Next one is 21 Jetwood Street. And if there, are there any butters, we have to read this, no? Are there any butters here for 21 Jetwood?
Only you?
Only me. There is, so we'll consider it read, Donna?
Yeah,
Did we get
just
his
make the
cards?
record clear, Al should chair this
Yeah.
here.
They lost the hammer, I can't give it to you.
Yeah, okay. Okay, the notice is deemed read.
Yeah, they did it on a batch, so this goes together.
Oh, okay.
That's 21.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, the application is for the installation of an above-ground pool with minor grading 50 feet from the edge of the BVW. The BVW is right along the property boundary. The house was built in 1986, and the wetland is right at the edge of the existing maintained yard. Jennifer?
Yep, so I had him get the wetlands delineated, which you see on the plan. It's right there at the existing of the maintained yard, right on the property line. We saw this long ago when Mr. Zanakis rebuilt his house on the back street. That's how we knew it was there. So he is proposing Inglewood, yeah, was.
Oh, yeah.
This is the wetland that was behind that new house that was built there. So had the wetland delineated. He's just proposing an above-ground pool with minor grading, a non-backwashing filter, and there will be no decking or anything. He's just going to have a set of stairs that he takes in and out.
So you have on the map photo, you have it, you show the line along the property line, the wetland line, and you show an approximate location of the pool, approximately 50 feet off of the property line, which is also 50 feet off the wetland line.
What I propose is that prior to them constructing or placing the pool, that we
You
go
go-
out there and locate it.
Nail
Because it
down
needs to be more than 50 feet. It can't just be 50 feet. It's supposed to be more than 50
Yeah,
feet.
she demarcated, she helped me demarcate 50 feet point, so we know that whatever we do, we have to be above and beyond that point. You know, I don't know if another foot, or I don't know how much you
Right. So
would need, so.
prior to the pool getting delivered, we're going to come out and, you know the width of it, so we can kind of,
Verify that position.
but yeah.
Sure.
Who, Mr. Rice, who delineated the line for you? Who was the scientist that you used?
Her name is Rochelle.
Rochelle.
Okay, so what is standard procedure is our rep will go out, just validate the line, make sure she agrees with Rochelle. Most likely she will.
No, I already did that. I already have.
You've already done it?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so you already agree with the line?
Yes.
All right, so then the only thing is just pulling the tape to make sure you got 50 plus.
Well, I just want to be there. I didn't go out with him to look at the,
Okay, got it.
to look at the location of the pool. So we should have a meeting of the minds before he gets started, just so we're
So you want a pre-construction?
correct.
Okay. All right.
No questions.
Louis,
Question, sir?
there are no questions. Your recommendation, ma'am?
A negative number 5 and 6, because this is, pools are exempt minor activities under the Wetlands Protection Act, so it would just be a local
So you're looking for a negative
Determination.
5 and 6 and a pre-construction meeting,
pre and post.
pre and post.
So moved.
We have a motion and
You have a second?
we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
You-
Any
you gotta recuse
abstentions?
yourself.
There is one abstention, so it's 3-0 and 1. So you have your permit.
Thank you very much.
Just make sure the pre-construction meeting takes place before you move any dirt, okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, just be sure of that. That would be most helpful.
We'll do that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Louis, you have it back.
We have NOIs. Start with, they were put on by mistake, 242-1634 and 242-1635. They're continued to July 22nd.
We don't need to do anything. We already voted to continue them to that date.
Okay.
Struck from the
Just
agenda.
noting, because they got posted on the agenda.
Okay.
Top of the list, 242-1651. wholesale village.
So I got an email from him today saying that he'd get back to me with what he wanted to do, but saying that there was a lot of work to do on the,
it been a
preparing the
month?
as-built.
Has it been a month since they've
Oh,
been
yeah,
here?
it's been a month.
Has it been?
All of that.
Really?
Yeah.
It has been 4 weeks.
Almost two.
Yeah.
It's been on the agenda each meeting, so we haven't continued it for more than
He asked for a
2
continuance, or the consultant asked for a continuance at the last meeting, and today, as I said, I heard from Ben. He emailed me and said he would get back to me with what he was going to do, because there was a lot of work still to be done on the COC request. So I'm guessing that's what they're working on, but I never heard back from him. So I would just recommend we continue it. Doesn't,
Okay, motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed? And that's unanimous.
continue the next meeting?
Next meeting,
Okay.
unless you want 2 meetings.
No, I'll get on
Since the
them about,
applicant's not here.
to get something to us.
Okay.
Next one is 242, no number.
No number.
110 Farnham Street.
We did get a number,
Did we get a number?
1654. 1650.
1654.
Yep.
Okay, 242, 1654, 110 Farnham Street.
All right, so. Right here in front of me. Are we gonna deem this one red as well, or?
Any abutters here for this? None answer.
Deemed it as read.
So this is a replacement septic system. When I went out there, I don't think they thought they had wetlands, but Heidi had found a plan for an abutting property that had the back wetland on it, and then when I went out, I found this small wetland just off their property. So it turned their project into a bigger deal. So here they are, house is, pending sale, and they're looking to get their septic system replaced. They do have one waiver request. The piping from the tanks in the back to the system in the front runs through the 25-foot no disturb zone. However, that 25-foot no disturb zone is currently a fence and maintained yard and walkway on the side of the house. There are no filings for this property, and a filing only comes up on the adjacent property with the wetland in the back. So this wetland to the side may be isolated. It isn't. It's on the neighbor's property, so I don't think anybody did a lot of trespass. I mean, they didn't trespass. I got approvals from both neighbors to allow the delineator onto their property, so there was approval. But it very well could be isolated. The back one is not. That's bordering. So they do need waivers from the Board of Health, but as usual, the Board of Health will rely on our decision. They did present the photos as reasons, alternatives. They did submit the waiver request and the photos to show there really is no other way around. They'd have to, if they came the other way, there's retaining walls and driveway, and basically if they don't go around, there's existing patio and walkway and all that sort of thing on the other side of the house. So they're basically just following the maintained lawn to get the piping around.
Joe?
I have to ask the question just to be satisfied that another alternative was ruled out. So replumbing the basement area and directing storage directly out the front rather than out the back end?
It's a finished
It is a
basement
finished
with the walls and ceiling and everything else.
Okay. And there is no sewer at Farnham Street at all. Board of Health wouldn't grant the waiver of public sewer was available, right?
No, there's no public sewer out there.
Okay. I'm all set.
I am all set also, Mr. Chairman.
I'm just curious with the construction access you're going to be using. You're going to be
Over the
pretty,
driveway, I would assume you could take down that fence on the driveway side.
Hey,
right, but I'm saying is, Why can't it be plumbed that way? If you're gonna tear it all up to run their machinery over, why can't they run it in the front?
Because it's not level, right? It's up to, from the driveway, and they'd have
Yes.
to come under the, they'd have to
Like I said,
come,
well, I don't have any grades, so I can't tell, so.
they'd have to come through the, this is the right side of the house is the driveway side of the house.
Right.
And the concrete goes all the way to the back of the house. And it's garage under, correct?
That's correct.
Into the side.
Oh, it's concrete driveway. Okay. What's that, Sean?
I don't have any questions.
Motion?
I'll move it. It appears that there seems to be no viable alternative to the applicant's request, so I'll move that we, I guess, close an issue in 21 days. Is that what this is?
It would be to approve the waiver would be the first vote.
So there's a waiver in front of us. Okay. Then I will move that we approve the waiver based on the testimony that reveals that there is no viable alternative to the route that has been requested.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
And since this is an NOI, I will move that we close an issue in 21 days.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Before you get too nervous about that, I did prepare it for this evening, so they will vote on it later tonight
Okay.
to issue it. We will issue it in the next day or two, but then there's a 10-day appeal period, which I think we probably told you about, so.
Is that 10 business days or 10 calendar days?
With the Wetlands Protection Act, it's 10 business days.
The appeal period?
10 days, yeah.
All set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one is 242-1653, Boxer Street Waterline.
So the only thing we're waiting on is natural heritage. It's 30 days. I kind of thought we were at 30 days, but I guess maybe I counted wrong. It's Friday. They love to wait till Friday. So,
Is there anything we can do? Phil Christensen. Is there anything we can do to get an order? Do you just wait till Friday comes around and then write one, or do we have to wait 2 weeks?
well, we technically have 21 days to issue it. We could close the public hearing and vote to issue a positive order of conditions in 21 days, and I could just issue it whenever well, I think it's the fact that we're not supposed to close the public hearing before we receive their input.
I think it technically says you're not supposed to issue an order before you get their input. I
So we
don't
could
know.
close, and technically, if there was something issued, we would have to reopen the public hearing, renotice, and notify abutters. I guess it's, I don't, they've already issued a no-take on the subdivision, right?
Right.
It's kind of,
This is work in the roadway. There's nothing on any undeveloped property, so.
The risk is if Natural Heritage decides to issue a notice that's adverse to the application, then you have to come back, right?
What's the difference?
Right.
So what's the difference here?
Because if they issue that sort of notice, he's going to have to come back and explain it anyway. We left it open.
It's kind of a push.
we're not supposed to issue an order of conditions before we hear from Natural Heritage. That,
We're
we're
not
not-
saying that we do that.
we're not going to. But what we can do is vote to close the public
We
hearing.
can close.
We can review the order of conditions, and should I get that letter, then we could issue that order of conditions.
We can do that.
Okay, then I would advise that you do that.
Any other questions?
I don't have. All the technical questions we'll ask at the last meeting. Yeah. Done.
So, motion.
So the motion needs to be to close, right? That's all we're looking to do right now?
Close the public hearing and issue a positive order of conditions in 21 days.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Next in general business, 242-1544, request to continue to July 22nd.
Who's continuing? Oh, 26 Main.
Pardon me?
Was that 26 Main?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Sean and,
Yeah. That would have to, I wouldn't be able to sit on that,
right, that's why we're continuing
so
it.
it's gotta, yeah, it's gotta, even though the cooling off period has been met there, I would still have to declare that I would. I
We
wouldn't
just told
like-
him not to come, so we'll be talking
Yeah,
about it.
no, I-
And this is one we want to have some serious discussion on, so,
Yes.
I would definitely prefer to recuse myself, even though
Okay.
the cooling off period has been met.
so we told him to come next time, so continue
Thank
to
you. I
the
appreciate that.
26th.
Thank you.
We have a
Second.
motion to continue. Any,
Second.
all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
And I
one
am not,
abstention.
I'm not voting.
Not voting.
Abstaining
Next one.
would be the right word.
Any more continuances? No. Okay, next one is 242-111, PCOC request 210 Chipping Road.
So these are Kittredge Crossing, which should have been closed out a long time ago, because they did all the work to close it out, and then they just didn't close it out. I don't know what happened, but
They didn't do the 50 years install.
Ben observed it. Not Ben, Mark West. Regardless, it's a PCOC. We have only issued 2 in the number of years, and this building is not even in the 100-foot buffer zone, so I say we just give them the PC. If we hadn't done any others in the development, I think we kind of set the precedent with, what's the one? Meadows, that we weren't going to do this. But we didn't start there. You have issued a couple here, so on this one.
Did we not do one on this one after that?
One Meadows, the order's active, too. It's not like it's something that we had any this one is long
You said
expired.
I don't want to, this is a partial, so I don't want to into the bigger question, but I thought they did do everything.
Everything.
Except, wasn't there still an issue with excess runoff going down Woodbridge? On the
Not
back of the
anymore.
project? They
No.
did fix that?
Yeah.
They did small work too.
And they've been doing work at Woodbridge to alleviate some of the issues that are back there. Yeah, well, the town did work on the road. So anyway, I recommend you issue
I have a
it
problem
here.
with partial. No questions. Move that we grant a partial certificate of compliance for 242-1111, specifics to 210 Chickering Road, Unit 108A.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Next one is 242-273, PCOC request for 40 North Cross Road.
So this one is non-jurisdictional. We did deal with a couple of these that had elements of the stormwater management system from the development on it, but this one is just releasing it from the roadway.
This house has been there over 30 years.
Yep.
You look at the number.
That's what I'm saying, it's like,
All right, I move that we grant a partial certificate of compliance for 242-273, specific only to 40 North Cross Road, also known as Lot Number 3.
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. Next one is,
Looks like the
are
same
they
thing.
both the same ones?
They're 2 separate orders, but they're both for 44 Laconia.
So we can hear them both at the same time? Yes or
Yeah,
no?
one's the roadway, and then one is for the 2 lots that were constructed as part of this.
Okay, so we'll do them both. This way Mr. Kapani can get it all done.
Different file numbers, but same.
Same lots.
Right, one for the being part of the Laconia subdivision,
Yeah.
and one for these 2 lots were constructed under one order, basically.
No abutters and no objections noted from anybody.
No. The only issue that Heidi found in the plan review is this turnaround, which you see, which goes down to the neighbor's driveway. You know, you're continuing past the house. Was not on the approved plan. We don't think it was constructed anytime recently. That it's hard to tell, given...
I think that's late 90s?
Right. It's hard to tell. In the 90s, historic aerials are black and white, and they're very fuzzy, and there's tree cover. but it's clearly visible in some of the later aerials. One corner of it is in the 25. In the early 90s, there wouldn't have been a 25.
But it's on the abutter's property anyway.
No, it's on this property. It's the driveway serving the abutter's home. They were constructed under the same order. So, but other than that, there's, I mean, I think Heidi even noted that on some of the proposed plans, there isn't even a driveway on the proposed plan.
Joe?
My brain's going way back to the hearing. I remember doing the site walk out there, and I do remember walking down in the area, and I remember the applicant
Equestrian space.
asking about the turnaround, and we didn't approve it. It was not part of the filing, but I remember discussing it. But we also had construction inspections back then. Not so much environmental monitors.
Yeah, it just says drive 12 feet wide is all the plan says.
And there's no waiver of the 25.
There's no 25 on the plan.
What's the year of the plan?
Plan
96,
is
97-ish?
2 June 86
Oh, wow.
is the date of the plan. I don't know when the house was constructed. Let me see the date of the order, hold on.
We hadn't
Back
gone-
then, there was no 25,
We hadn't gone
50.
to the SJC yet.
Yeah, this was filed in 86, hearing was closed on 86.
This,
so-
this was prior to the
25.
2550 going to the SJC.
So
I mean, the only way would be is if someone constructed it after, and we
Yeah.
can't prove
And
that.
I know that this predates.
so that's not the same lot I'm remembering. All right, so that it's that far back, Al is absolutely correct. It doesn't have to comply with
Doesn't
the
have to
25.
comply with anything. It didn't exist.
I'm all set.
I also am all set.
No questions?
Motion?
Move that we're taking them together, I suppose, or maybe separate votes. We move the issue of partial certificate compliance request for 242, 273, specific only to 40 North Cross Road, lot number 3. Sorry,
No.
44 Laconia Circle, lot 1A.
Yeah.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, and second motion is to grant a partial certificate of compliance for 242-333, specific to 44 Laconia, lot 1A.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you. This is a momentous occasion for me. The first time I've received an approval without saying a word. At this rate, I'll be out of business.
Yes, thank you. You don't have to tell your client that.
You're just getting better and better.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. The election of officers and Jen's recommended to wait till we get more people.
No, we don't have
Just
to.
want to elect some people who aren't here.
This is the time to railroad.
We have a quorum. I'm going to move that we re-elect Lou as chairman.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And there are none. You're re-elected.
Current vice chairman is Doug, correct?
And
And I did speak to Doug about a month ago about his interest, and he said he liked it, it was okay. And so as such, I move that we re-elect her.
pleasure of the chair.
And I would gladly nominate Doug as my
Did you talk to him?
vice.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I didn't know we were going to do this today, so. I never looked at the agenda.
We can vote, we can do that at next meeting.
If you want to wait till the next meeting to nominate your vice chairman, that's fine, but you're elected.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's hold the second one up then.
Okay.
If you want, you can do the other one. That's the pleasure of the chair. You get to pick your vice.
Okay.
So,
Literally.
you pick it. That's a choice you get to make, bro.
All right, let's keep
Welcome.
continuing
Welcome to another term.
our reg revisions.
Bring him tonight.
It's difficult. Continue our reg revisions. We've been keeping Lisa busy with other things.
Okay. The other one, okay. Enforcement order update.
So Mass Ave, 11 o'clock tomorrow, or any other time that works for you, but
Yeah, 11 o'clock, yeah, I just have the accountant in the morning, so, oh, no, I don't have him tomorrow, good, yeah.
11?
Yeah.
We'll meet down there?
Yep,
Okay, so they're going to have somebody to meet with us. They're going to have it finished this week, I guess. They hired somebody to finish up the job, and he never showed.
These,
but he owns the property.
Well, he's not doing it.
these notices have been saying E.P. Riley, it's F.P. Riley.
Yeah, it's
isn't it?
F.
It's Franny Riley, yeah.
Yeah, it's F.
Well, family, Franny's family.
Right.
So make sure,
I think the enforcement order is correct on that.
make sure the official correspondence gets it right, that's all.
I'm pretty sure that's how.
So Michael's running it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And the stuff that I've seen has been FPY Riley.
So, and when it comes to our next matter, 80 Sail Way, I spoke to DEP as we discussed, and they'd like to get us to give him one last very short, limited window of time in which to do, and they've asked me to very specifically put that on the enforcement order form, because that's where they'd like to see it. So I've written a new order giving him another 15 days or so, basically until our next meeting to have the work done, or DEP will get involved. Well, they will, the restoration of the 100-foot buffer zone between the lake has not been done.
I just thought it was behind us at this point.
It's unbelievable and it's not.
I'm taking a leap of faith. Some members just get splattered on the ground at the
I
end.
don't do that.
Yeah, well, that's what happened here.
So, no, I'm not either. We did everything we could do as a commission, and we provided as much.
Rope to hang himself.
No, I don't look at it that way. I think we just, we did the best we could, and Jen's got the right idea, just kick it on up, kick it on up, let them have it.
I guess I'm just asking that you vote to ratify the amended enforcement order.
The new one. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Do you have a question on that? So if it does kick up to DEP and DEP gets involved, they're only going to concern themselves with, under the Act, they won't address any other
This is water
records.
supply, so they can address a lot of things. But they're not saying what or how they'll get involved. They just said that they would
It may
take
not be the
matter up.
panacea we kick it up to them. They may in turn give him some leniency that we
Well, we
wouldn't
gave him
expect.
some leniency too. He has a stone retaining wall in the lake, for one.
I don't think it's.
I don't think, I think it could get worse, not
We
better.
have a file that Choka Hoss did.
Yeah, we have all the photo documentation, everything, so.
I think that's the,
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be,
we're not, I don't
Nice.
think we're making a mistake.
No, I
I
mean-
think just let it go.
Okay.
He's a big boy, let him play with the big boys.
Right.
decision times.
All right, so the first one is 242 Dale Street.
Garbage truck in the lake update?
Garbage truck is out of the lake, and Pro is monitoring, as paid for by the person who put the garbage truck in the lake.
Did you get called out on that?
Yeah.
You did. Did you see that? Remember I talked about that tree clearing over on the back end of,
I did not.
you didn't see it from there?
No. But I have seen it from the lake. So
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, but the vista didn't look any different for me, but I do know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I know where it happened, and I've been on the lake and photographed it, so. We're having a meeting on that with DPW and our harbor master and myself, members of the, there's a sort of a task force.
Okay.
Doing Dale Street, right?
Right, so we just noted in our findings that the planning board will issue a watershed special permit. We thought it was going to happen last night, but it didn't, so, but I don't think there's any changes to the plan. So this is the above-ground pool, deck, paver patio, retaining wall, fences. Heidi just noted that she actually wrote this one, because this was one I was away. The delineation is located on the town of North Andover property per condition 34. The bond she has is $1,500, which is typical for a pool, so I guess I wouldn't. Condition 67 calls out the non-backwashing cartridge-style filter. Then our usual fertilizers, no dumping, etc. pretty much it.
Any questions?
Nope.
Motion?
I move that we issue the order of conditions as drafted for 2421652.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Right.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Next one's 242-1653.
So the fact that we closed, do we need to put a special condition in now to allow the entry of a natural heritage response?
Right, so that is usually a listed document. Other record documents, I guess because I didn't have it, I didn't list it. So we will have the NHESP letter in there. You can approve the order of conditions, and I still have 21 days to issue, so there's no requirement for me to issue it.
So on this project, does the DPW ever set plans for this one?
Oh, yeah, they had to approve this. I think Bob worked with them to get this done because they want to finish paving.
Okay, so I went away too, so never got to talk to Tim about that. No stubbing. And you're saying that they don't normally like to do that?
No, actually, I was trying to bite my tongue during the hearing. We wouldn't, in the communities I work in, wouldn't approve that final water termination. But there's no question DPW was involved in this, and that's what they're satisfied with, so.
Unless they missed it. But stubbing off to the other lots, you don't like doing that, you said?
No, I mean, there's definitely mixed feelings from community to community on putting your services in. Every blind connection is a potential leak, and the best way to discover a leak is by having reduced pressure in your own house and noise. If it's not connected to a house, it could be leaking and it could be bleeding forever and you're just losing water. So yeah, untapped services are a bad thing to have.
Okay. I was just curious.
And they weren't, on this one, they weren't proposing to put untapped services in.
No, I just thought, if it was an old road, to me, I wouldn't care.
I think North Andover has a 5-year moratorium on digging up new roadways.
Right, typically. There must be exceptions to that, but
Sometimes that doesn't happen.
Unless, of course, it's a gas company,
Yeah.
and you dig it up in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
My shortest is 2 days
And
on
they
a brand new
did.
road.
Sutton Street and Main Street. Okay, I was just curious. Okay. Anybody have any questions on this one?
No questions.
Motion?
So we move that we adopt order conditions 242-1653 as amended. So the only amendment was just citation of natural heritage.
Motion made. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. And last but not least is 242, I can't remember, right, what, say 1654. Farm Street. What's written on here?
So condition 34, just site shall be established from the edge of the adjacent wetland resource area as shown on the herein reference plan with approval to install septic piping within these zones. And one thing we'll get out of this is I'll have them mark those wetlands. We'll put markers up. Currently, nothing's marked out there.
Yeah, but this is being sold, right?
Right.
That'll be very important to get it delineated and marked, yes.
Right.
That enforcement order we talked about earlier, I'm not going to name names or name addresses, but if people who are the subject of that enforcement order are also contractors who do this type of septic work, can we prohibit them from doing work under an order of conditions until they come into compliance?
Because septic contractors are approved by the Board
Board
of
of
Health. Don't want to get involved in that. It's already a fun
Does-
thing to be.
The combination of names I see here, it's likely that other party will be doing this one,
And
right?
that other party isn't being non-compliant. There has been progress, and
Okay.
I feel like every time I address them or contact them, I'm contacted back immediately. It's not like, I've been ignored. And we're going there tomorrow, so high hopes. If that's who we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
Motion adjourned.
Oh, wait, we have to vote on this one.
Oh, we haven't voted yet? Feels like we voted it.
You voted twice already.
I thought I voted twice, yeah.
I move that we adopt as drafted the decision for DEP file 2421654.
Second.
Second.
All those,
Second.
Al. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Go ahead, Al.
Bill.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.